Hi everyone, this is Miss Wei here. Today we're going to go through algebraic fractions. That's exercise 1B and 1C from year 10 text. Okay, let's look at the first questions. So we got here simplify by cancelling common factors. And let's look at the very first questions. We got, okay, let's write down the question, 8a squared b over 2a. First thing, let's look at, is there any common factor? Now I can see here there's a common factor 2. 2 can go into 2 one time, and 2 can go into 8 4 times. So we cancel this 2 with 8. There'll be 4 here. And then we have a squared on a. A squared basically means that it is 4a times a times b. There's a b there, and a. So this a couldn't cancel with that a. So the answer is 4ab. So the key here of this question, of this answer, is to cancel the common factors 2 and a. All right, let's look at the second question. And again, is there any common factor? So 3 minus 9x over 3. And you say, well, there's a common factor 3. We can take the 3 out. So we got 1. So if I take 3 out, that will be 1 here because 3 times 1 is 3. And 9. So if I take 3 out, there'll be 3 here and an x. So essentially, let's check it out. If I expand, I'm going to have 3 times 1, which is 3. 3 times negative 3x, which is minus 9x, divided by 3. Now, I can now cancel this 3 with that 3. It is important to actually take the common factor out. Now, what's normally some people make this mistake is that they cancel this 3 and that's 3 and they say that's done. This is a no-no. You should not do that. It is not right. So let's delete that. Okay. So that will give you 1 minus 3x. Okay. So factorize the numerator and then cancel the common factor of 3. Good job. Next one. Right. Next one is we have 2 divided by a times, let's write down the questions, 2 divided by a times a plus 2 divided by 4. All right. Is there any common factor? Well, I see here that I can actually cancel these 2 with that 4 because 2 can go into 4 2 times. Now, warning, you can't cancel this a with this a. You can't, because that one is a plus 2. A on the numerator is not a common. So all the best is I can write a plus 2 divided by 2 times a. Okay, and that's it. We can't simplify further. So cancel the common factor of 2 and then multiply. Now I'm going to rewrite this and put it down here so that you can see the instructions. So cancel the common factor 2, which is already done. And then multiply the numerator, and the denominator is 2 times a is just 2a. Okay. Here we need to simplify these expressions. 2x minus 4 over 3. Instead of put divide, we multiply. We write multiply. Then we flip these expressions. X minus 2 becomes 6 divided by x minus 2. The next thing is you look at the numerator. I can see a common factor 2 in here. So I'm going to take out common factor 2. And then what I've got is x minus 2. Put in a bracket. Okay. Let's double check. 2 times x is 2. 2 times minus 2 is minus 4. Minus 6, multiply by 6. Divide by 3 times x minus 2. Put in bracket. It is very important if there's a bracket, you must make sure that you put a bracket here. All right, so I can now cancel x minus 2 with this x minus 2. So now multiply the numerator. 2 times 6 is 12, divided by 3, which is actually just 4. Okay, so the instruction here is multiply by the reciprocal of the second fractions. So the reciprocal means x minus 2 over 6 becomes 6 divided by x minus 2. So you notice that multiply, when you change it to, divide, when you change it to multiply, you actually do the reciprocal, and then you factorize 2x minus 4, and you cancel the common factor. Okay, example 8, adding and subtracting algebraic fractions. So in order for us to be able to add or minus any fractions, we make sure that we have a common denominator. So the lowest common denominator for 4 and 2 is 4. So we want to make sure that this denominator is 4. So let's look at the first one. Okay, let me write it down. 3 over 4 minus a over 2. So as I say before, the lowest common denominator for 2 and 4 is 4, because 4 can go into 4 one times, 2 can go into 4 two times, twice. All right, so no change to 3 over 4 is still 3, but the second fractions, I need to multiply the denominator by 2, and likewise, I need to multiply the numerator by 2, so that becomes negative 2a. And let's see whether can we simplify further. 3 minus 2a divided by 4 is the simplest form. Okay, so let's look at this. The lowest common denominator of 2 and 4 is 4. Express each fractions as equivalent fractions with denominator of 4, and then you subtract the numerators. All right, next questions. Would you like to pause the video and have a go and then come back? Okay, welcome back. So here we have 2 over a plus 2 over 5 plus 3 over 8. Can't read properly. All right, the first thing is think of the lowest common multiple or lowest common denominator of 5 and a, which is 5a. So let's write down the lowest common denominator is 5a. I need to multiply that 5 by a to get to 5a. I need to multiply the numerator 2 by a as well. So therefore, I got 2a on this side. Need to multiply, for the second one, I need to multiply the denominator by 5. Likewise, I multiply numerator by the same number. Whatever number you multiply the numerator with, you got to do the same as denominator. Okay, so plus 15. And I think that's it. You can't simplify any further. And let's look at the key notes here. The LCD of 5 and a is 5a, and then you add the numerators. Okay, then pause the video, have a go, and come back. Welcome back. So, what's the lowest common denominator for 2 and 5? Yes, it is 10, because 10 is a number where 2 and 5 can both go into. So, let's write down the question. And let's find the lowest common denominator, which is 10. Now, how do I get from 2 to 5? I need to multiply this, 2 to 10. I need to multiply this by 5. And I need to multiply the numerator by 5. But we got to put this in a bracket because you multiply that number. That number is x plus 3. So now we got 5 times x plus 3. Okay? Now the second fractions, I want to make it 10 as well. I got to time this by 2. And likewise, I times the numerator by 2. So you basically multiply the denominator and the numerator both by 2. But be careful, got to put this in the bracket. You're not just multiplying -2 by 2, but the whole lot. So it's x minus 2 multiplied by 2. And then you've got to expand and collect the like terms. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 3 is 15. Plus 2 times x is 2x. -2 times 2 is -4 divided by 10. So what we got here is 7x plus 15 and -4. That will be 11 divided by 10. Okay, summary, that's instruction. Lowest common denominator is 10 for 2 and 5. Use brackets, very, very important. Use bracket to ensure you retain equivalence fractions. Add the numerator, expand the brackets, and then you simplify. All good? All right, let's look at example 9, adding and subtracting more complex algebraic fractions. So here we got 3 over x minus 6 minus 2 over x plus 2. First task, I want to minus these two fractions. I need to look for the common denominator for x minus 6 and x plus 2. So what's the lowest common multiple for x minus 6 and x plus 2? Simply just multiply them together. When there's nothing in common, you multiply the two expressions together. So that will be my LCD. So the first fractions, I need to multiply the denominator by x plus 2. So I'll write it here. And then I need to multiply numerator by the same number, which is x plus 2 as well. So let's write it down. I need to multiply 3 by x plus 2. For the second fractions, I need to multiply this by x minus 6. Likewise, I do the same thing for the numerator, x minus 6. So minus 2 times x minus 6 here. Now, it is important to put in bracket. Please take note that minus 2x minus 6, if you don't put a bracket, it looks like this. It's not the same as minus 2 times x minus 6. So x minus 6 is the whole thing. So you multiply by 2, make sure you put a bracket. All right? So remember what I say. Next, I need to simplify the numerator. The denominator, we don't have to do anything. Don't need to expand the denominator. Leave it as it is in a factor form. But numerator, I can expand and then I simplify. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 2, which is 6. My -2 times x, -2x. -2 with -6, that will be plus 12. And then collect the like terms. So 3x with minus 2x, that will be x. 6 and 12 is 18. Copy the denominator. And there's no way I can simplify further. And that's all we have here. So let's look at the keynotes. The lowest common multiple of x minus 6, x plus 2 is simply x minus 6 times x plus 2. Add the numerators. Take note of -2 times -6 is 12. And then you expand the brackets and collect the like terms. So let's make this note a little bit tidier. And that's all for these questions. Okay, remember your diagnostic questions. Let's see if you have not got all correct. Check which part you have gone wrong. So I can see there's a multiply here. I'm going to write divide. Beg your pardon. I see there's a divide here. I want to multiply. So I find a reciprocal of that, which is a minus 5 divided by a minus 3. So flip that expressions. You write multiply. Okay, now I can see here x, a minus 3, I can cancel. I can also cancel a minus 5 with the a minus 5, which give you 3/4. That's correct. Okay, on this side, again, the lowest common denominator. So the lowest common multiple for these two is you just multiply these two expressions together. Then 3, I got to multiply by 6t minus 5. And on this side, 4, I got to multiply with t minus 2. Then what's next is you expand. Okay, so put that into common denominator first. So 3 times 6t minus 5 minus 4 multiply with t minus 2. Expand. 3 times 60 is 18t. 3 times minus 5 minus 15. Negative 4 times t is negative 4t. Negative 4 times negative 2 is 8. And collected like terms, I can see 18t and minus 4t. That should give you 14t minus 15 or negative 15 plus 8. And that will be negative, what's that? 7. So that's how we got 14t minus 7 divided by t minus 2, 6t minus 5. And finally, I can see there's a common factor here, which is 7. So if I take 7 out, that will give you 2t, and that will be minus 1. Okay, and that's all. Starting diagnostic question. Isn't that the same one? Okay. All right, so let's summary of the key ideas. Simplify algebraic fractions by factorizing expressions where possible and cancelling common factors. Point number 2, for addition and subtractions, express fractions in terms of their lowest common denominator, which is commonly called LCD, and combine the numerators. For multiplications, cancel common factors, if there is, and then multiply the numerators and denominators. For divisions, multiply by the reciprocal of the fractions following by division sign. The reciprocal of A is 1 on A. The reciprocal of A on B is B on A. Example, if I got 3 divided by A on B, then you write 3 times B over A. Okay, all right. So now you can complete the set questions for exercise 1B and 1C from the Year 10 text. Thank you.